Hi everybody, I'm JT. Welcome to another video from me here at Campervan Journey. So you join me here in California, just getting ready for our first trip away of this year. For those of you who followed the channel for a while, know that we've been lucky enough to enjoy the opportunity to get away and go skiing in the French Alps for the last few years. We're doing the same again this year, and we'll be heading off down to the Alps in the next few days. But I just wanted to put together a quick video just telling you a little bit about the stuff that we take with us on our trip when we're driving from the UK down to the Alps to stay for just over a week. And we're splitting our stay, so we're not spending the whole time staying in California, but we will be spending some time staying in California on our journey down. So it's a sort of split between a camping trip and the accommodation that we stay in at the ski resort. Anyway, hopefully you'll find some value in this video. I've tried to explain what we take and why we take it, and hopefully you'll see some benefit in that. If you've got any questions at all, just drop me a note in the comments and I'll be very happy to answer. And if you've got any suggestions, again, drop me a note in the comments. I'm always happy to take tips from fellow travellers. Okay, so this will be our fourth trip skiing as a family together with the California. Claire and I skied in the old days, pre-family, but this is the fourth trip of us actually driving to get away in the California itself. We love skiing and really enjoy the whole adventure of it, but it is an expensive holiday. The accommodation is expensive, the hiring of the kit is expensive, the ski passes are very expensive, but it is an amazing experience and one that really creates some great memories. However, if you drive, we've found that it is possible to save quite a bit in terms of the cost that you have on the overall trip. And I think that the journey travelling down through France is as much part of the adventure as the holiday when you get there yourself. But it does take a lot of planning and preparation and organisation, and there's nothing better than writing a good list in a notebook to get yourself going. So what do we take? So when you're traveling in a van or a car, obviously you're going to have more space than if you were flying. We still like to limit ourselves on the amount of stuff that we take with us, because we're going to be staying using the van as our overnight stay for at least 2 nights on our trip down, which means that we haven't got huge space for us to spread around. And there are 4 of us traveling in the California. So there's myself, Claire, and my 2 sons, Ben and Harry. So space is at a premium, so we do need to be organised. We try and minimise our ski gear. If any of you have skied before, you'll know that it's very, very easy to take loads and loads of stuff with you, but we try and rationalise our skiing equipment down. So we've got a jacket, a couple of pairs of salopettes, a couple of pairs of base layers, some socks, some bits and pieces, a couple of gloves, a couple of pairs of gloves, a couple of hats for each of us, and no more than that. When we're back in the van at the end of the day, or back in the accommodation when we're settled in for our main week away, then we don't really need a huge amount of clothing on top of that. Just maybe a pair of jeans, a couple of t-shirts, that sort of thing. So trying to keep our clothing and things organised into a minimal amount is one of the key aspects of us travelling. Now we will pack our ski clothing in these really useful boxes. We use these for a lot of our camping packing, and just being big, solid, sturdy plastic boxes that stack easily makes them really, really practical to pack in the back of the boot. Being transparent lets you just see quickly and easily what's inside them, and then when we get to our destination we'll just take them out, chuck them in the accommodation, and it just keeps everything together. So we'll take 2 or 3 of those that we'll pack in the boot, and then for our general clothing, so that's day-to-day clothing, underwear, socks, jumpers, that sort of stuff, we use these window storage bags that are designed for the California beach, that fit in the windows either side of the luggage area, made by a company called Vanessa. They're in 4 separate sections, so we each have a section each. Those pockets will contain our clothes for the whole week. When we arrive at our destination in Bourg-st-Maurice, we can remove them, take them into the accommodation that we're staying in, just as you would a suitcase. It's a really great practical way of transporting the clothing between here and the destination, but also makes it very easy and accessible for when you're in the van. So we love them. We've had them for a few years now, and if you've got a California beach, they're a great addition to maximise practicality for your packing. Now, in terms of clothing itself, obviously we talked about salopettes, we talked about the traditional ski gear. We typically hire our ski equipment when we're there. This year I will be taking my own boots, so we'll be transferring those. But snow boots is the other thing that is a great thing to take. These boots by Sorel have been fantastic. They are fantastically warm, great for tromping around in the snow if you're not on the ski slopes, and they have removable felt inner soles. You can take these out and use them as slippers, and they are fantastic. So bit of a luxury, quite expensive, but really worthwhile investing in some if you're going to be skiing on a regular basis or going anywhere cold on a regular basis. The other important thing from a clothing point of view is helmets. If you've been skiing in the last few years, you'll notice that pretty much everybody on the slopes wears a ski helmet. We wouldn't dream of going skiing without a helmet because it's all too easy to have a stumble, and the last thing you want to do is to have a bump and hurt yourself and it ruin the holiday. You can hire ski helmets from ski hire companies, but personally my preference would be to take my own. We've invested in our own helmets. Being a glasses wearer, I've got a helmet with a flip down visor as well, which just makes it a bit more practical for me to wear my glasses underneath, because glasses with goggles is always a bit tricky, and prescription goggles are very expensive. So our own helmets will travel with us as well. They do take up a little bit of space, and again, if you were traveling, if you're flying, appreciate things like those helmets and your own boots are going to take up extra space, so it's one of those compromises that perhaps you have to try and work around. Now, because we are staying in the van for 2 nights whilst we're travelling down, there's some things that we need for our sleeping comfort. So last year when we stayed, one of the nights that we stopped on our trip down, it was -8 overnight. So we need to make sure we've got some very good sleeping bags. Our van is equipped with an onboard heater, a diesel heater, so we can have that running. But diesel heater combined with some super warm sleeping bags will do us quite nicely for keeping us warm for the couple of nights that we're there. We'll only have, probably looking at the forecast for the next few days, I don't think it's going to be super cold, but we want to make sure that we are comfortable. So the boys have got individual sleeping bags that they will use to sleep downstairs, and Claire and I will sleep upstairs using a double sleeping bag, but that will keep us nice and toasty. Now, for our overnight stop off as well, we wouldn't be without our screen protectors for the pop top and also for the front windscreen. I did a separate video on these if you haven't checked them out already, but as soon as we park up, we'll pop the roof up, fit the screen protector and the pop top cover, and that will make a massive difference to keeping the environment, keeping the cabin temperature much more comfortable, even if it is very cold. So we tested them out last year in temperatures as low as -8, and we were very toasty with no issue whatsoever. Now our screen protectors we sourced from a company called Screens. Quality of them is fantastic. There's a separate video on the channel that you can check out, and I'll put a link in the description below if you want more information. So what about preparation for the van itself? Well, one of the key things for travelling on the continent in winter is making sure that you have the appropriate tyres. People forget that tyres are the thing that keep you in contact with the road, and in the winter time in Europe many areas have regulations about you running on winter tyres or winter compliant tyres. Now we took the decision when we purchased the van, because we knew that we were going to be travelling across to Europe, or hoping to travel across to Europe this time of year, to fit ourselves with some all-season tyres. These are the Michelin Agilis Cross Climate tyres. These are what we call 3-peak mud and snow rated. So there's a little symbol on here which confirms that they meet the requirements for travelling in the areas of Europe where winter tyres are required. And certainly from past experience we've really noticed a benefit from having them fitted to the van over regular tyres. The other thing you do need to carry as well is snow chains, which to date we haven't had to use. But snow chains in conjunction with some gloves to fit them, because no doubt when you do need them it's going to be cold and wet and mucky, and they're there available. But at the very least you need to have them on board. If you were pulled over by a local gendarme and you didn't have snow chains, then there's a risk that you could receive a fine. But because of where we're going to, basing ourselves in Bourg-st-Maurice, which is around about 800 metres, we won't be travelling up to the higher altitudes in the van, so we shouldn't need snow chains on the vehicle for driving, because the roads at the lower levels tend to be very, very well cleared by the local authorities. So another thing that is important to consider is your headlight setting. Now our van is fitted with LED headlamps, so we can adjust the vehicle headlights for driving on the opposite side of the road. If you don't have that function, have traditional halogen headlights, you'll need to purchase the little stickers that go on the lamps, which basically will stop you dazzling other road users. Now we're going to be travelling probably around about 1,000 miles over our trip down to, probably more than that actually, around about 1,200 miles on our trip down to the French Alps. And that length of journey on the French auto routes will mean a lot of muck is thrown up, a lot of muck is thrown around. So making sure your Screenwash is topped up is very important, but also making sure the concentrate levels are high. So choose a Screenwash which can cope with lower temperatures, which isn't going to freeze, and we always put in double the quantity to make sure that it's really, really good to clearing the road salt from the screen. What you don't want to have is any problems with visibility whilst you're driving down at all, which clearly can be dangerous. If you've seen my previous video, what we also did, and again I like to do before a long trip away, is get the van checked over by Volkswagen to make sure everything is tip-top for the trip. So it's had its service, had its MOT for the journey as well. Now, one thing that is often overlooked is diesel. Now in colder climates, diesel is prone to freeze. So what we'll try and do is to manage our diesel fuel levels so that when we arrive in the Alps, we will fill up with diesel from a local fuel station there, which will have additives added to it, so it is less likely to freeze. In the olden days in the UK, we used to get caught out by the cold winters and diesel. I remember the fuel on my school bus freezing one day because it was so cold, but special additives on the continent stop this from happening. But so for travelling in France, there's a couple of other things that you should carry with you at all times as well, regardless of the time of year that it is, that basically meet with the regulatory requirements. So every passenger in the vehicle needs to have a high visibility vest. This isn't so you can do a spontaneous roadside protest and join the French farmers. This is just in case there was an accident or an incident and you need to get out of the vehicle. And warning triangle also needs to be accessible, and we will also carry with us as well, just as good practice, a first aid kit and a tyre compressor pump as well. Now, something that has come in over the last few years for travelling in some parts of France is the Critiair sticker. You can register online with the French authorities to obtain this Critiair sticker. This sticker is designed to identify the emission rating of your vehicle, but if you're regularly travelling over to France, it's a worthwhile investment to make. It also stays with the vehicle for its lifetime as well. You do need to plan ahead to organise it. It can take about 10 days to come, so don't leave it to the last minute if you want to organise it. It's much easier, believe it or not, to order it in the UK and have it posted to you than try and obtain one whilst you're away in France. Now, if we're spending a couple of nights on our trip down in either park-ups or campsite accommodation, there's a couple of things that again are important to have with you just in case the weather turns bad. So we'll always have with us a snow shovel. So far we haven't needed to use it to dig ourselves out. A snow brush so you can sweep off any snow, not just from the windscreen but also the roof of the vehicle, because again, in many places, not clearing your vehicle adequately in poor conditions is an offence and can get you in trouble. And for parked up, to make sure everything's functioning correctly, we will take with us our hookup cable and a adapter cable. For some of the sockets have the old style European end as well. Another feature that is a real bonus whilst we're travelling away on a ski trip is the Spacemate storage tray that we had fitted from our friends at Spacemate. This enables us to get everything all the way back, stacked in and organised. Nice rubber-based mat to keep everything organised, but as you can see, reaching right to the back, maximising the space. And with the configuration and layout of our beach, we need to be storing underneath the boot area here, so that when we fold the bed down, we have our sleeping area available. So then, what about other documentation? So obviously you want to remember your passports, very important. The GHIC health insurance card, especially if you're going on a trip like we're going, where there's always a small risk that you might require some medical assistance. Your travel insurance paperwork, again making sure that you've got appropriate cover for the activities that you're doing. But also when you're driving, there are some documentation that you need to take for the vehicle itself. So it's important to make sure that you have with you your original, and this is the key thing, V5 registration document. You need to have your current original MOT certificate, insurance documentation, and of course your driving license. It's also a good idea to print off from the DVLA or gov.uk website a summary of your driving record. So that will basically confirm that if you have any points, how many points you have, also the vehicle type and vehicle classes that you are, your license covers you to drive as well. So this information is accessible from the gov.uk website, and you can print that off and keep that and travel with you. It may sound a little bit overkill, but always want to be belts and braces. Touch wood, we've never had an instance where we needed to present it, but just being organised and having it all in a little wallet that keeps safely with you is a good idea. Now, whilst your travel insurance will cover you if you've opted for it for winter sports cover, one thing that we also have the opportunity to purchase is something called car neige insurance. This is an additional policy that comes typically with your ski passes, and you pay a nominal charge. I think it's cost us about 20 euros each for the week to get some additional insurance, basically to cover you if you would have a fall and needed evacuating from the mountain. Now again, hopefully with insurance that we're never ever going to use, but if you've ever been on a ski trip, you'll see the little skidoos zipping around, taking people off on a sort of mobile stretcher, and God forbid if we ever needed a helicopter extraction, but that insurance is designed to make sure that you have coverage to deal with that. If you ever had an accident, the French authorities will be very, very reluctant to assist and help you off the mountain if they don't know that you can pay for it, so that you haven't got a credit card with an appropriate balance, or you haven't got insurance that's going to cover it. So again, it's best to be belt and braces and covered for all eventualities, especially on this type of trip. So now we've got all of this stuff organised and arranged, all we need to do is to head off and enjoy our trip away. So we'll be heading off in the next couple of days down to the French Alps. We're staying for a week, or just over a week, in Bourg-st-Maurice and skiing at the ski resort Les Arcs. If you're not following the channel already, it'd be great if you could give us a thumbs up, hit the button to subscribe, and if you want to follow the trip, you'll see videos coming up of our trip away. We'll be staying at the Utopia campsite for the duration of our trip. Some of the time staying in the van on the camping pitches, but for the majority of the trip we've hired one of their lovely ski lodges. Spending a week with 4 of us inside a Volkswagen California is probably a bit of a push for sanity for all of us. There's nothing quite like a log cabin, a wood burner and a fondue at the end of a day's skiing. So hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope it gives you a taste for what we've got coming up in the next few weeks. If, as I said, if you've enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up. Please hit the subscribe button, and we will look forward to seeing you on the next video very, very soon. Thanks for watching.